Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Bishop, how you doing?
Yeah, Elikem. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm great, my brother. I'm good.
Yeah.
Charlie, just as I was about to invite you up here, then it hit. Oh, Charlie, Adam, I've missed you. I don't think we met in person.
Hello?
We did meet once, right? At the
Yeah, that's all right.
your friend farewell event.
Yes,
Apart from that,
yes. It's all been virtual.
running business on internet, dear, you realize that the physical. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, yo. I just took a short stroll, so I'm almost back home. So you would be hearing some small noise, but I'll be home soon.
Okay, cool. Today we have a big man in our midst. He's a visionary. He's doing things in the human capital space that have not been done before. I'm just looking at the Mande app, looking at the kind of things that it's going to achieve, just the quantifiability of the metrics of the stuff we put on our resume or CVs. That ability to put it there, wow, it's impressive, because I feel like it's something that Ghanaian resumes lack a lot. People just regurgitate the job description or talk about the basic tasks that they did without showing impact. So we are going to talk to the man behind it and share and learn about his experiences over the last couple of years trying to grow it, the various iterations he's taken to get to this point. So I'd like to welcome Joel Anaman on stage. Hello, Jay. How you doing?
Hi, Gamabi. Thanks
good,
for
though.
having me. And this your hype, dear, crazy.
Oh, Charlie, how good do I? That's in there. It'll be hype. When the person is doing the work, it's easy to describe it. What do you say? So it's just easy to. But thank you also for honoring our call for us to learn about what you are doing and the journey so far. I'm sure some people would be able to benefit from it. Some people are thinking about doing some stuff on their own, either as a side hustle, extra income, or trying to go full out as an entrepreneur, or even thinking about invest. So these are some themes that will come up in our conversation, and would like to know your perspectives on them. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
So wonderful. I guess we can start with perhaps give us a brief bio about yourself, and what got you into the kind of space that you are operating in now. And then later we can get into what Mande is about.
All right. So thanks for having me again. My name is Joel Anaman. A trained pharmacist by profession, but a lover of many things. So backtracking to 2014, that was when I wrote my very first CV, right? And I quite recall that I was literally copy and paste, reached out to a senior. I was in uni by then, so I reached out to a senior in the fourth year. I literally took his CV, lifted stuff off it, and then put together mine and applied for an opportunity. I got the opportunity anyway. I got the job, but it wasn't because of the resume. It was because of I would say they had an idea about my track record, what I've been up to, my leadership track record, basically back in uni. So fast forward, done with uni, and I realized that the gap still existed. I had no idea what a good resume was, and my big sister was in Oxford by the University of Oxford. So she assisted me with her templates, and it was mind blowing because it felt like, wow, like this resource actually exists, and I had no idea about it. So I just went on an evangelism drive, tried to get my friends, people around me, to know how to build like good CVs. And eventually it evolved. So I was doing my sales job 2017. I started my sales job with Big Pharma, and I was still doing this on the side. I was never really taking it serious in terms of a business till somewhere in 2019. I got exhausted because you'd offer something for free. You would book time with people and they don't show up. Happened over and over again. And then I told myself that I would rather spend time to make it very valuable and then charge for it. So that's how come Productivity Optimizer, that was like the company started as Productivity Optimizer. Just an online thing. I decided to just, launch it. And that was it. Somewhere along the line, I decided to register the business, make it an LLC. And here we are with Career Wheel. So basically that's been my background, doing pharmacy, being, passionate about people development, helping people put together CVs, and eventually morphing it into a business. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur, by the way. So this was something that happened by chance.
That's interesting. I did not anticipate that you were a pharmacist. No one would think about. A lesson here to anyone would be: you could have your main thing that you are doing, you are excelling in it, but if you have other interests, you start to see the parallels and then work with them. Oh, that's impressive. And also, I'm sure that along the way there were skill sets that you had to learn to get to that point where you could do something different from the main line of business. So tell us about the current version or the current plan of the products that you have. Maybe if you could give us about how it started, but if you could pick up from there, what people can expect when they use the app or they engage with you.
Okay, sure. So I primarily spoke about Career Wheel. So what happened was that throughout, I would say 2020 was when I got really serious with Career Wheel. It was Productivity Optimizer by then. And you know what? Going through the process of coaching people, we've coached people globally, like some have landed global remote jobs, $6-figure jobs right from Ghana. And there was one common theme, right? The common theme was that people were constantly stuck in closing out tasks at work. So they go to work, close out the tasks Monday to Friday, and then it continues, like the cycle continues. The year comes by, 2 years comes by, 3 years, 4 years. Now they are ready to move to a new opportunity, and then they feel empty. Meanwhile, they've been doing so much stuff over the past 4 years or 3 years or 2 years, right? So we came to realize that there was a bit of an awareness gap. People had a gap in being aware of their own competencies, and it's mainly because they never had time to manage their careers. They never had time to monitor and evaluate their careers. So what we decided to do was that we are going beyond just writing a resume, right? We are building like the career operating system for professionals. So think about it this way. You don't have to think about, when do I want to get a promotion? How do I go about promotions, etc. What we are building is that with less than half an hour a week, you should be able to log the things that you got done at work. And then based on that, we'll furnish you with insights. We would help you with being able to advocate for yourself, whether it's for a promotion, a new job, etc. And you literally see like your real-time growth over the period. So we are bridging that self-awareness gap because it can cost as much as 80% of your true income. And how we arrived at this is that there were people who were earning 3,500 Ghana cedis. We were able to get them into jobs that earned them 35,000 Ghana cedis net, right? And it was just because they were not aware of their competencies. So we are bridging that gap and we are unlocking the world's talent, the potential of the world's talent in that way.
Jay, please hold on 1 second. Hold on for me one second. Edem, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
You see, when I was introducing him and I told you that he's doing things that people haven't done before, he was telling me he's hype.
We are hyping, but you are taking it serious.
The matter is very, very serious. No, seriously, like Jay, you blew my mind at when you said career operating system.
This
I
system, like,
we have one of our avid listeners who just logged on, Douglas, and I've been engaging with Douglas from his final year in uni and to where he's gotten this international role, and one piece of advice I keep reminding him of is one thing to be very good at your work. It's another thing to manage a career. And that's what you are doing here. Charlie, God
Exactly.
bless you. May he make it.
Amen.
And you actually quantified it's cost people 80% of their value.
Yeah,
So
their
this
true income.
no, at this particular point, normally I'd wait till the end to do a plug. Please, where can people just go and follow or subscribe or something? Please drop the plug there, that bus.
So currently we are in public beta, right? We are rolling out invites gradually. The name Mande it's in the title of the space. So it's mande.mycareerwheel.com. You can join our wait list. We roll out our invites on a bi-weekly basis. And it's just a way to sort of like, we are very early stage. It's something that's a bit novel. Most platforms will think about, hey, let's generate resume bullets for you and all of that. For us at Career Wheel, it's more than that. It's really about giving you the power and autonomy over your career, but doing it with minimal effort, right? So it's very early stage. We are still doing a lot of experimentation. That's why we are taking our time with, getting everybody in, because we really want to tinker it and then get to the point where we know that, okay, this is exactly the right offering that we are giving our users or the professionals that decide to trust Mande. The first MVP that we have now is just something to help you track your progress, like track your wins. So if you do something, you just literally log it on Mande, and then you can feel free to forget about it, because you can always come back to Mande to remember. And there were things that I did in November. Like, I literally go through Mande and I go like, wow, if I didn't have this, I would have just forgotten about it. So the next phase is being able to plug in AI to generate like, very tailored and personalized insights. And then from there, like, we constantly reduce the time that you invest into managing your career so that you can focus on delivering your best at work. So in the meantime, you can go to mande.mycareerwheel.com. You can join the wait list, and then we're definitely going to send you an invite.
Charlie, my mind is blown.
My
Because
big champion.
in Cornell, we have a career management. Career management tools. We have an app that we use for resume review, and it doesn't get to this point. Granted, I guess the use case is a bit different, but it's not at the level you are talking about. This is not one of those innovations that we are bringing from, or to my knowledge about what the current tech is. It doesn't sound like something that you are just going to copy and paste and try to adapt to the Ghanaian market. This is novel. First.
Yeah.
Adam, can you please help us just type the link there and ask people to join the wait list?
Sure, definitely. I'll do that.
Yeah. Jay, please repeat the link one more time so that Adam can note it down.
Okay, I'm actually tweeting it out. I'll pin it to the space, so that's quite easy.
Great. All right. Wow. Okay. All right. Let me turn away from being a fanboy to back to running this. Okay. So another, I guess the next thing I'm thinking about is, you had your main work that you do. You were a pharmacist working in a pharmaceutical company. I think that's what you said, right? And you were doing this on the side. Can you walk us through the transition? And is this something that you are still doing on the side? And how did you juggle your main work with this side business that you are doing? At what point did you transition, or do you intend to transition to make it full time?
Okay, so I would say that I am a fan of. Should I say? First of all, I told you that I didn't see myself in entrepreneurship lights. Like, I never thought about being an entrepreneur. Basically, it was just literally 9 to 5, and so I started this in 2015. I was doing my national service. 2016, I passed my professional exam to become a pharmacist. Then, at that point, I was working with, I was interning with a company, a big pharma company. So I was doing this on the side. I'd coached people. People had their jobs into like big pharma companies before I did, but I wasn't really bothered because for me, it was about getting everybody around me to win. So, 6 months after doing that, unpaid internship, I finally secured a role in that company. And I continued to coach people. I mean, there were even cases where I had to think about some kind of events because it was a big pharma company. We target, entry level pharmacists, experienced pharmacists, right? And then we sort of get them to recommend our product or prescribe our product to patients. So, one of the ways I plugged this into our engagement was to think about how early career graduates, we could have this career orientation thing for them. And in exchange we sort of expose them to our brand very early enough. And then they carry this on throughout their professional life. So that was something that, I partnered with my company. So it was literally just pro bono kind of stuff. Then, somewhere 2019, I really got exhausted, right? Because I realized that people do not value free stuff. I learned the hard way. People do not value free stuff. Even the most vulnerable people. Not everybody, but then there were cases where I would tweet out that, hey, I'd want to run this free kind of session. Let's meet here. People will commit and all of that. And then at the end of the day, you have about 1 or 2 out of 10 people who committed showing up. Right. So it was at that point that I was like, you know what? I've built the skill. I've learned this online. I mean, it's self-taught anyway. I never attended a CV clinic or whatnot. It was literally roaming online on LinkedIn, experimenting a lot, working on people's CV, and then seeing that translate into success. So this was like pure hard evidence-based work, right? So when I was ready, I was like, you know what? It was just abrupt. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start this thing on Twitter. So 25th December 2019, when people were chilling and out of that, I got in touch with some graphic designer guy that I knew, and he developed Productivity Optimizers logo. And I posted that online, and then gradually, I think somewhere March 2020, right, I decided to set up Productivity Optimizers account because I wanted that brand to be different from my personal brand, like who I am personally. I didn't want to mix business with my personal life. So that's the account that you see now as my career wheel. So when we started, I was completely lost. Pricing, I didn't know how to price because I told you I was never thinking about being an entrepreneur. So I didn't know how to price this thing. It was valuable, all right. But I remember the first CV price point was 120 Ghana cedis. And that was in 2019, 2020. 120 Ghana cedis. Now, we write CVs that cost as much as $300, depending on your level of experience and, what country you find yourself in. So it was literally that. I would say that there was no intentionality. It was just one day, hey, let me flip this into a business. And then I figured it out as I went along, writing solo.
Wow, that's impressive. You really have me dumbfounded how you took the initiative, how you didn't have these skills already, and yet you went ahead to get them while people were chilling. 2019, was that the year of return?
2019.
I think that was the year of return.
No, that was 2020. Year of return was 20. Oh no, I think 2019. Yeah, 2019. That was it.
When people were chilling, you were here building a business seriously.
Charlie,
it's impressive. It's impressive. Another point there's this point you mentioned, people not taking opportunities that they get. There's a problem that we have. And the free things that we get, somebody will be offering you free CV clinic or help you with interview support or something. And just today, I was helping someone with an interview support, and you showed up 15 minutes late. I was like, wow, see, these are the opportunities that people are wasting. You say opportunities not in Ghana. I get it. Like you are an entrepreneur, you are a young person, you want to go places, but you are not taking advantage of the free things. You want to help people in Ghana, and they just don't want to accept it. But then you have to go the entrepreneurial route. You have to price it, and then people start appreciating it and want to pay good money, and then you can make it bigger. But just out of curiosity, though, I know it's going to be for profits for now. But do you ever intend to do a pro bono aspect? Maybe for every 10 people, maybe you give one free TV clinic or something.
Oh, so for since February this year, we started this initiative called Wheeler 100, where we get 100 plus professionals on a call, and we literally expose them to all our frameworks, right? And through that, and it was for free. Through that, there's one guy that decided to volunteer to have a CV reviewed live. He's now in the US studying for, I think, a master's or a PhD. He hit me up 2 days ago, talking about how, that whole process changed his mindset, how to, unearth the value in him and all of that, how to sell himself, etc. Because we literally were not just focusing on just the CV. We were going deep into the frameworks that we use as resume writers at CareerGo. If you come in and you pay us to write your CV, the thought process that we take ourselves through, we literally brought people behind the scenes, right? And we've been doing that for free because we realized that, there are some people who may not be able to afford, but they just need the knowledge. And then again, you put it out there and you don't get a lot of people to sign up. So we did it for 3 times and we're like, okay, the next session, we are going to have it as a paid session because over time, the numbers, kept dwindling. And I know for sure that if it becomes a paid session, people would actually, pay for it. Now, one core commitment in terms of democratizing things, was, what inspired us to build Mande, because the idea was that we want to get to a point where if you are able to track the stuff that you do and you have AI, you should be able to do this independently at a very, very affordable cost. So our goal of, expanding, Mande is definitely for profit, but it has a social impact focus, right? And then our goal for spreading our wings and ensuring that everybody has access to these things is to just have, Mande coming as that career operating system where you're able to build a full self-awareness and you're able to craft a resume bullet on your own. You're able to craft a cover letter on your own, interviews, you're able to ace it on your own. You should be able to build that level of independence. So that's the vision for Mande, actually, that we should be able to, extend our reach. Our core target is to reach 10 million people by 2030. So we are keeping fingers crossed on that.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of impact. A lot of families going to be affected. I'm really impressed. And I hope it all works out. So,
yeah. Looking forward to it.
So back to you and your capabilities and how you got here, right? As you were doing this process, what are some of the things you realized that you are lacking these skills, and so you had to teach yourself these skills, and how did you?
So in terms of skills build up, I'm naturally curious, and in fact that translates into Mande's values too as well. So our values are curiosity, ownership, transparency. So curiosity, if you are literally curious, you would get better at what you do. So starting from a curious point, for me, I decided to, if I want to, build good resumes, if I want to get people jobs, I need to be world class. So the kind of people that I was following on LinkedIn and across other channels like Twitter and all of that, these were people who were not in Africa per se. These are people who were in the US, in the UK, more advanced market. So I caught on early with regards to, when it comes to resume writing, I caught on early with those skills early enough, how to, it's more like copywriting, but writing copies for to win recruiters, right? It's just like marketing, but then it's really niche. So I had to build that skill over and over again. And for me, I do a lot of learning by doing instead of like just, absorbing. I'd rather do it and then see whether I fail or not. I just pick up the lesson. So those were some of the things that, I did earlier. But as time went on, I started, recruiting a team. So I don't do career wheel alone. Like currently, career wheel is not something that I do as a main focus. There's an able team that perhaps are even better than me now because they have frameworks and that they use, and then the culture is also great. So there's that continuous learning. So I had to learn how to, build teams. And I've always been like a very personable person. Even back in uni, I had built teams and all of that. But, building it in the context of, people working with you and then you even giving them compensation for the work that they do, right? Had to come with a lot of, should I say, learning and maturity. And yes, indeed, I failed. The first time I built a team was when I secured a scholarship. So I quit my job. I wanted to transition into tech because I felt like my profession limited you geographically. So if I decide to move to UK now, if I decide to move to even Togo today to practice pharmacy, I would have to go through their professional, evaluation process, do probably a 1-year internship before I write a professional exam and then become a pharmacist. And I felt that to be very limiting because the first reason why I got into pharmacy, other than any other healthcare profession, was that pharmacy gave you that room for flexibility. And I felt like it was getting limiting even with pharmacy. So somewhere in 2020, I secured a Chevening scholarship. And it was a good time to get away from work in the middle of the pandemic, focus on building career wheel as a business. And I had to build a team right at that point. But I got some things very wrong. So things around being able to cast your values in stone, right? So knowing that this is what your organization stands for, and also being able to craft the vision and mission of your organization. At that point, I felt like, we are building CVs, we are helping people, and we wanted people who were competent to join. But that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made. And I put together the team, I think that was somewhere in 2021, early 2021. I put together the team and all of that, but I realized that the team members were not pulling their weight. Like you call for meetings, they don't show up. Like you set up calls to like build their capacity and some don't show up and all of that. So I realized that no, this is not the way to go. I had to painfully dissolve the team. So I had to let the team go. And it was a failure on my part. But then this was the clause. I made a team go, built the structures, and then threw an invite to them with the new structures in place. Not all of them came back, right? The ones that did come back are the ones that are with us now. And I mean, now we've even grown our team size as well. We're about 7 resume writers. I think, about 7 resume writers, excluding me. So all in all, like one of the core things that I had to build was leadership. And it wasn't like the student leadership, like association president. This was like a different ball game because money is involved, time is involved, and customers too are involved. So I would say that that's like one of the competencies that I had to build early enough, being able to set the right culture. So it goes beyond like technical, tactical work, but more strategic and being able to influence people to, to go the right way, like in the favor of the organization and also in their favor too as well.
Okay, so that's a major point, building a team. And, you preempted a question I would ask later about how you built people around you. So just a quick follow-up. How did
Okay.
you learn these things? You said you failed at setting these up. How did you learn that this is the right way to build a culture? Was there a mentor you went to, a role model, or you did some Googling and figured it out, or it was just, maybe the spirit spoke to you one Sunday morning or something? How can people listening go to realize where they are at fault and figure out solutions to the gaps that they have?
Okay. That's a very good question. And I think you're right. You're asking the very right questions, because I would have probably lost out some details too as well. Naturally, I would say I'm intuitive with a couple of things. I don't know how that happens to me, but I also feel a lot, right? And maybe I would say that the intuition is the starting point for my curiosity. So I learned from the very weirdest places. Like, I'll go and watch TEDx videos and try to experiment with it. I would read a blog and try to experiment with it. I would say I'm high on experimentation. So probably that's how I'm able to, pick up my skills. However, in 2016, when I started, when I did my free internship. So here's what happened. I was doing this contract work in Kumasi, and because I was the president of the association I was done with school, so I used to be the president of the association, the Pharmacy Students Association in Legon. I interfaced with the chairperson for the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, as well as other professionals, pharmacists who were, working. And so I was doing this contract job, and then the guy reached out to me. So he was the chairperson for the PSGH Greater Accra region, and he was the country manager for the company, that's MEC. So he reached out to me and he was like, hey, he would like to get someone to intern with them. And he was like, he wanted recommendations. So I was like, sure. As usual, I like to plug people. But this time round, I thought about things differently. I asked myself, why can't I, fill this role? Why can't I, take this opportunity for myself? So after getting off the call, I actually called him back later and I told him that I was going to do it. I didn't think about whether I was going to be paid or not, etc. So fast forward, I came back to Accra. I was in Kumasi by then, so I came back to Accra. And it turned out that the job was not going to be paid. So to me, my thought was that, okay, if I'm not going to get financial reimbursements for the time that I'll be spending here, I should get it, in another way. There has to be some value transfer. And I would say that's the best decision I made for my career, because I could afford to. Not everybody can afford to do that, because I could afford to. All the savings I had made from the contract job, I told myself that I was going to enroll for the free internship, like unpaid internship, and then learn. And when I said the guy, he turned out to actually be my mentor. So Dr. Dupont, like he's an organizational psychologist, also a pharmacist, but, doing something different. And I would say within that 6 month period, he built my mindset towards a lot of things, like thinking about processes and outcomes, like understanding that you can do everything in line with processes, but you may not achieve your outcomes. So if you're working, right, you don't just focus on, okay, I'm giving this task A, task B, task C, I'm done. But then you're always thinking about, how does this task A, B, C eventually feed into the key things of making the company money, or saving the company money, or saving them time, or managing the company's risks. So these were the 4 cardinal points for me. And at any point in time, I'm asking myself, how am I contributing to the organization in this way? So that formed the foundation of this whole quantification kind of thing when it came to the CVs. And that's what made me even stand out more. So that 6 month period that I had with Dr. Dupont completely changed my perspective to things. And he still continues to be my mentor. We are still in touch. When I was even applying for the Shivning Scholarship, he was the one who wrote my reference letters for me, my admissions and all of that. He wrote my reference letters. So I would say that like as part of this growth process, that particular mentor that I had really played a crucial role in my development. And I believe that everybody should really have a mentor. It doesn't end at just, just learning stuff, but everybody should indeed and truly have a mentor. It has a great ROI.
Oh, that's impressive. Having a mentor help you think through these things, develop a certain thought process to go along with your intuition and your experimentation, thinking about the business. But again, another thing, a theme that has repeated here is about taking opportunities, right? Where
Yep.
you were a student leader, which puts you in a position to be at a conference, sitting close enough to somebody who would make a certain request to you, and you could take on that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's something that people need to take seriously. Just recently, one of my mentees was thinking about where she could do an internship, and she was saying, can it be close to University of Ghana to cut down transport costs? And I get it. Different people come from different places. This person is not from Accra, so cost to be an issue. But I can't have a saying. Your food, your piano. Like the
Exactly.
one climbing a good tree is the one who push. And so I told her, just get a good experience, get a good work experience, and other things will just line up accordingly. So it's if she wanted to insert that hard filter and she limits her opportunities, there's only so much she can get. And we are looking at you when you opened yourself up to many opportunities and you're having options, and those options have built you to a place that you are thinking about these visionary things that I've been doing CVs for people. I've been helping people with their CVs for a longest time. I've not thought about how to automate it. All I know is, henceforth, instead of 1 hour, I'm just going to spend 30 minutes with people. If you are serious, you are serious. All this thing, but you are thinking about it way ahead. I'm a serious fanboy at this point. Anyway, let me keep this moving. More lessons that our audience can learn from. So speaking of opportunities, right? There's a great asset. There's a great thing that gives opportunities, money. All right. And this business you are running is a serious business. You have employees. There's cash flow involved. Have you had any outside funding beyond yourself?
I would say no. So I am really a fan of bootstrapping, right? I'm really a fan of bootstrapping, and it comes at a cost. So I would say bootstrapping and lifestyle businesses. So it comes at a cost in that when you bootstrap, you may not grow as quickly as someone who has investment. Okay. And you may not even expand to, that level of the unicorn status or whatever it is. Right. So these are the things that I'm thinking that a lot of people do not define these things for themselves. Maybe they feel like, okay, everybody's raising, so I would also want to raise. Right. It has its benefits. You have enough cash flow. You're able to pay people. Investors are also going to step on your neck. You have to, you would have to meet certain interests, not just your own interest. As against, if you're bootstrapping, things are going to be relatively slow. You wouldn't have that enormous cash flow. But then if you're looking at a lifestyle business where you're able to go about your stuff and get your peace of mind. So it's really about defining what success means and then chasing that wholeheartedly. Right. And I would say that is what we've been doing at Career and even with Mande. Well, maybe with Mande, when we're able to get product market fit, because of the kind of impact that we want to make, we would want to do some raising. But in the meantime, the thought is bootstrap, right? And it's mainly because we want to have it as a lifestyle kind of business rather than, it's more like taking over your life, but still bringing you some form of, cash on the sides as well. So I would say, no, we've not received or even chased any form of funding ever. in the future, maybe for Mande, one of the strategies that we are thinking about is to use social impact fund, which has no equity, but being able to align ourselves with people who have the same interest as us and are willing to sort of fund such a project. That's what we are kind of exploring.
Okay. So bootstrapping, that's funding it yourself, your own savings, cutting costs down, making sure that some revenue is coming in to cover some costs. Okay. But when you talk about this venture fund that you are thinking about applying to, or even future investors that you'll be thinking about, what are some of the structures that you have put in place right now in the early stages that would prepare you for then? And I ask this because some people wait till they want to find, they are now looking for investors, and then now they are scrambling to put structures in place. And then they feel like the process is taking way longer than they intended. So what are you doing?
Okay, so I'd say I'm privileged to have engaged like my team members. Like I have a legal person in my team. My sister is also a legal person. So very early enough, I decided to chase, like when I was ready to register, it was Productivity Optimizer, but when the name was changed and I was ready to register Career Wheel, I decided to pursue that aspect of, going to the Registrar General's Department, registering as an LLC, and going through the process. Again, I made certain mistakes, right? And I'm sort of rectifying those now because I have a team member who has a lot of insight into, taxing and I would say the GRA side of things, right? They have a lot of insights to that too as well. So I would say first things first, being able to put together like your organization's vision, your mission, all those like basic things that you do for the company, the values, right? And then the next thing is also being able to go ahead and then register your business. I would say that, it depends on you really. I did run Productivity Optimizer for a whole year before I decided to register the business as an LLC. A year and 3 months. Yeah. If I decided to register it as an LLC. So just feel free to experiment. You don't want to go and rush and then, register an LLC without, like, a limited liability company is what I mean by an LLC, without, validating a lot of things, right? Without knowing that you're going to maybe hire people to, join your business and all of that. And the model that we are using is more like a contractor model at Career Wheel. So everybody on our team has their main jobs. So there's like a side business that they do, right? But then the kind of culture that exists there, I've had team members tell me that they wish that their main jobs had like the kind of values that we had, the culture that we had, that's, sort of team respect and all of that, that curiosity, the ability to even challenge me as a founder. Because I feel like if you can't challenge me as a founder, how do we get better, right? So all those kind of things, they feel like there's not something that they get in their other places of work, right? And they finding that at Career Wheel gives them a lot of like, a lot of energy to even go about their main jobs, right? So, again, it boils down to building the structures. And then, if you're ready to expand and get people on board, then you'd want to go the LLC route. And you can decide to use contractors, or you can decide to hire people, pay pensions and all of that. For me, I had to think about it. A lifestyle business is not a full-time role. These people are people who are working their main job. So at least their SNET and stuff are covered on that side of things. They may be people who need extra cash for stuff. And so if they are able to write CVs and they get up to 70% of the revenue that comes in from each customer, then that's it. Like everybody wins, right? So I would say by default, these are like one of the very fundamental things that you should have as a business that's starting up. And also being able to document things, one of the very hardest things. So building out processes. It was very, very tough for me because I struggle with documentation. But it's interesting how I find myself in a role now that requires that I document. And it was one of the things I told myself that I wanted to get myself in that role so that it pushes me to override that area of improvement, which is not wanting to document, wanting to do things spontaneously. So being able to document your processes would help in, onboarding people, exposing them to, what you do and all of that. It plays a very crucial role in the growth of the organization too as well. So I'd say these are the fundamental things that you could pick up as someone who's like starting up a business. Don't be in a rush to register the company. Validate the stuff that you're doing. Like focus on that bit as well. If everything is validated, then you can go ahead and do all those registration and compliance stuff.
That's interesting. Put the structures in place so that the business will be a good place that people will want to work at and want to support your vision, and you'd be ready for any situations that may come up. Okay. So on the topic of getting people to help you, what you are doing now is tech heavy, but you don't have a tech background. Last week, the person who spoke on Conversation, he was talking about how two different ventures of his, the IT people, the tech people, squandered his money. That's Kweku, the field entrepreneur. You can all go listen to last week's conversation. And before last week, the other conversation we had with Edward Akani of Bethnal Finance, he partnered with somebody who had a tech background. So how are you getting the tech support you need?
Okay. So it's quite interesting. And I like to do things incrementally, although slow, also works, right? So when I got into, when I started my master's, right, that was September 2020, I started thinking about, getting Career Hub to be scalable. I failed at building the team. I rebuilt the team and all of that. So, close to the end of 2021, I started thinking about Mande. Mande was something that I was thinking about for the longest time, right? I started thinking about Mande, but there was no way I was going to build, a tech tool without a tech team. That was going to be very, very tiring or unrealistic, I would say. Not even tiring, unrealistic. So, when I was done with my master's, it was just a 1-year program. I was done with my master's. I did my master's in business analytics. So I was also trying to break into tech, right? And I had done my assessments and all of that. And I realized that product management was the best role for me in terms of making good use of my past experiences as a salesperson, engaging stakeholders, coming to a consensus, gathering requirements, building creative solutions and all of that. That was something that I could leverage on, right, as well as my domain knowledge as a pharmacist. So when I decided to become a product manager, it means that I have one foot into the tech space. When I decided that I had to build my competency, and you remember what I mentioned earlier, I've never taken a product management course. I tried one on LinkedIn. I couldn't complete it. It just gets very hard for me. But then I'm good at learning by doing, failing, picking myself up and then just going. So I learn in a very, very scrappiest manner. So Mande was supposed to serve two purposes. The first purpose was that it was supposed to serve as my transition product, being able to affirm my product management competencies. That's one. And secondly, it was meant to solve a real problem that I faced with, working at Career Wheel. So what then happened was that in same 2021, I built my first tech CV for one guy. So, I was even trying to experiment, right? Because for the longest time, I was not building tech CVs, but our frameworks are just scalable, it can work across any industry. And any career wheel team member will tell you, they don't have to be experts in your field. They feed off your expert knowledge, and then they're able to build something tailored for your industry, like a CV that's tailored to your industry. So here it was, that was the first time I saw a role that was like paying 6 figures. Because from the pharma industry that I'm in, there's no way you're getting close to 6 figures, like in dollars, right? So I saw this role was, I think $84,000 to $134,000 at a company. And when I saw it, I was like, I need to, not me giving it a shot, because I'm not a software engineer. So I reached out to my very good friend from high school, his kid brother. And we built out the CV and all of that, right? And I coached him, like building his LinkedIn, his cover letter, through the interviews end to end. And that was even the first time I negotiated a tech compensation. And the guy was able to secure the job. Not only that, to the initial offer that they gave him, we were able to negotiate for 21% more of the offer. Now, it was at that point that I even got, I told myself that I'm here to stay in tech. Because for the longest time, the reason why I was joining tech was really about, I get the chance to build, I get the chance to create. And I found that very fascinating. But the money passed my eye, of to say, hey, money day. So that was also like, that became like another motivational factor. But I also knew my place, that I was just transitioning. So there's no way as a transitioner you're going to jump straight into, a $6-figure job and all of that. So fast forward, between 2021 to 2022, I built this into like a service called Elevate, where we're coaching, the job market was really hot. So we're coaching professionals who are really good at what they do into remote global jobs. And I would say that the least increase in salary was 6 times what the person was earning. So it was on the note of 6 times and above, right? And there were other things like, coaching my star, for a couple of roles and all of that. I mean, he got into Twitter, coaching Anafin too got into Twitter. So like the where our series have taken people is like really huge. So throughout that process, right, I supported a couple of people. There are people that I came across on Twitter. Some we did spaces together and all of that. And then I told myself that, well, instead of having a pricing plan of saying that, okay, I'll charge you 10% of 5, it was actually 7% of your first annual gross salary. If you are really sold on what Mande is, by virtue of the fact that you go through the process, like when I take you through orientation, shaping your mindset and all of that, you realize that, I wish I knew this a long time ago. And that was the feedback from all of them. So if you are really sold on what you are building, instead of going to evangelize and get someone else to build Mande, you might as well build Mande, because you're already sold on it and it's actually worked for you, right? So that was how I was able to get away with the biggest cost when it comes to building a tech company, which is human capital cost. So the team members that you see, not all of them do, but most of them are people who have experienced like what Mande is seeking to democratize. So that whole awareness about your competencies, being able to advocate for yourself, and sort of trying to automate it, not just for job hunting, but for your career like management, right? So that's how I'm taking care of, should I say, human capital costs on Mande. Mande is not generating revenue. And the idea is that these guys will also get equity in the company. And we all are aligned on, let's bootstrap and get this very clear before we even think about raising funding. So that's like, it's very unusual. Hey, Chelsea. It's very unusual, right?
Charlie.
But it's basically like using what I have. Like, And that's okay. Let me just add that before before you come in, Elikem. That's one thing that I picked up from my mentor as well. Early on, he made me understand that everybody has an interest, right? And most often than not, it's not money. Money is just one of the things that people need. So if you're able to build that connection, it's just like selling. If you're able to understand their needs and whatever you have is able to stick to their needs, that's all you need. So I would say that that's what got me to think that, okay, I don't need money to build a tech startup. You need the right people, and then from there you can figure out stuff. So yeah, that's how Mande is running.
Charlie, you blow my mind, man. You blow my mind with this strategy. We are talking about 6-figure salaries, 6 figures in dollar terms. 7% if the person is earning 100K. He said gross 100K. That's what $7,000 that you could get for helping somebody land this job. Please, when you translate that 7,000 into this one, we are talking about like 84,000 cedis. You understand? Somebody will look at it and say, Charlie, give my 84,000 cedis and go your way and I'll figure out the tech part. But you are able to you thought about this and you've transformed it into investing their labor into getting this up and running. And you didn't just stop there. You're offering them equity. I heard a recent story just yesterday. Someone was telling me an experience doing some business with a Ghanaian, and I was like, hey, people can be wicked. Some people are not willing to just share. Even what they promised you, what is due, they would want to take more from you. So I'm really impressed that you are thinking collaboratively with people, and I strongly encourage all our audience members, think collaboratively with people. How can we all win when we do this? You understand? I look at Money Convos, for example, and you were saying it's not about money. And other people who support with Money Convos, it's because we have that shared interest. Hence, if ever I get a call from Mimi on something unrelated, I would want to help her to do it because we all have one central thing, and we help each other with different things. And we work together as a team. I know that I can always rely on Adam, and Adam would support me. And if he asks me for my thoughts on some things, I would always share my opinion. It's people collaborating together, not getting greedy about the money. Wow, impressive. I hope this is a real life example. We keep talking about collaboration. We talk about partnerships. This is partnership in action, where you don't have to spend so much on tech. You have the talent. That's good. That's really impressive. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, Charlie. Got the inside, so we never did. And you see, the other bit of things is that that direction is relatively slow. I mean, if you want to go and raise, you can actually look at plugging into some networks, raising and getting the funding done and all of that. But that also comes with a bit of pressure. You have to figure out what you're doing, within that limited period and all of that. So there's always the pros and then cons. And for us, we decided I like the fact that the team members are aligned on that, right? And it can get pretty much frustrating too because we all have a main job, so you can't afford to not focus on the main job too as well, right? We all do have our main job, so it can get pretty frustrating when things get slow. But I had one of my team members tell me, he told me that I just have to learn how to, get patient with these things. And then I've come to terms with it, right? So, that's the bit of things. You learn and you pick up these new habits as you move along.
Yeah, you learn and you pick up new habits. That's impressive. So we've been talking tech, we've been talking business. Let's digress a little, or let's look at another aspect of your life we could impact how all this was going on. If you don't mind me asking a personal question, Jay, are you married?
Good. Well, I'm not married.
You're not married, okay. I won't ask what level of.
I get woman.
You get woman.
I'm not married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like the way you've sent flares, warning shots that no one should come and shoot in their shot at you. I like that. Okay. Your woman will be very proud of you. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how has your relationship life intermingled with your work life? You're already having at least two full-time jobs, and you also have to manage that aspect of your life. Personally, I think that's also an important side of life. So what's the work-life balance for you? In fact, not just relationships, but also, your other social interactions, other personal things you want in life.
Charlie, this matter. This matter.
Settle me.
But you did ask the right question, so so that's one thing, right? I feel like it's important to when you're finding a partner, right? It's important to set the should I say the right tone right from the beginning and help the person to understand some of these things. So like on the average, like let's be real, on the average, someone who's doing stuff like I do, like juggling your own thing on the side and also making sure they are acing your main job, right? As against someone who just does their main job and they're not doing anything on the side. Obviously, the latter would have more time on their hands and flexibility and all of that. And there are cases where I can't afford to do that, mainly because of the stuff that I'm involved in, right? And I mean, very early on in their relationship, it very, honeymoon stage, it feel like, you're talking often, yeah, having that regular conversation and all of that. And the person gets accustomed to that, right? And it feels like that's how it's going to be forever. For me, I learned the hard way. I should have, managed the expectation right from the beginning, right? Not creating that honeymoon phase, because not everybody's able to receive it very well when eventually things get balanced out and, work is still in a part of your life and you're still trying to balance and make time and all of that. So for me, it got to a point where then my girlfriend thought that, hey, we are not having a lot of time for me, all those kind of things. And we had to sit down and have that crucial conversation. And when we did the analysis too, we discovered that both between herself and then myself, we discovered that she had time on her hands too as well. So it created the illusion as though you are not available, even if you're available for a shorter period, right? And we had to sit down to discuss that, because I just had to sit down and think about it. Okay, if this person was as busy as myself, they may have seen the 1 hour calls or 2 hour calls or whatever as okay, right? Or the 30 minutes calls as okay. But then if there's a misbalance in terms of the person is not as busy as you are, and I mean, she's a worker. So if he's not as busy as you are, then it creates that misbalance, right? So I'd advise anybody who is like in my kind of situation to have that conversation pretty much early. Sometimes you think it's obvious that, oh, she knows that I do X, Y, Z, and that's fine. But Charlie, it'd be a different ball game if you start roll on. So that's a conversation that I had very early, that, oh, there are cases where I'll be so busy and all of that, but you wouldn't go a day without hearing from me. That one there, it'd be constant, right? You wouldn't be too busy to drop a text or, call or something of that sort. So it really comes down to having that transparent conversation with your partner and getting them to understand where you are. Because if the person does not understand, I would say it's better off breaking the relationship. Otherwise, both of you end up getting frustrated, right? So the other party just has to understand and know that, okay, this is where you are. You're also putting in the work to ensure that the relationship is going on and you are giving it your all. And if the person is able to trust you with that and they decide to roll with you, that'd be fantastic. So from my side of things, yeah, I do make time. Like, I'm busy and all of that, but I do make time to have those kind of conversations. And even outside that, like, I'm part of the Global Shapers. They elected me as an impact officer, and there are things that I volunteer my time for, right? And it really boils down to staying super organized, trust me, like this phase of my life, I would say 2023 has taught me to be really organized. I've been far organized in my life more than any of the years in my life, right? And it boils down to really that, like communicating, being transparent, especially with people who are close to you, right? They will definitely see you as busy. And I keep telling people that, Charlie, beyond 30, I don't want to make busy like this. So I just need to put in the work now. But then I'm also going to make time to, have those kind of engagement. And there are cases where you would cut down a lot on some social interactions because you really need to focus on, getting some work done. And you just have to make sure that you are keeping the right people in your circle at any point in time. And those people do respect your decisions and they are willing to, accommodate you throughout this phase. So that's literally what has helped me, was work for me. It'll be template, it'll be, cookie cutter, but I think if there are some things that you can pick from this experience if you're also like along this path.
Okay. Set expectations, communicate early, and be organized. The parts of organized I can relate to. When I was doing my national service, I had a mentor. He was in the UK. I was trying to get into investment banks in the UK and all that. And he was having we were having a conversation. I was telling him about my increasing role at work. And he told me, when you want something done, give it to a busy person. They will make the time to organize themselves such that it gets done. And I even see it in my life. Like when I'm on vacation or when school work is light, I'm so not motivated to do stuff. But when the heat is on and there are so many things to do, when you say how you limit certain social interactions, there's some like I barely check my text, my WhatsApp messages. I just see people, please call me. You call me, that back and forth, we won't do it. You just call me 2 minutes, we are done with the conversation. Bye bye. Efficiency. So, it's not easy. Charlie, you are doing good work. I hope this works out well. I hope it works out well. I hope God blesses the fruit of your labor. Okay, so we'll start wrapping up soon. It's been a good conversation. To anyone who's wondering what we are discussing, for some weeks now, we've been talking on the topic of alternatives to your current income, right? And also alternative investments. We've had since last year a situation where Ghana defaulted on its debts. We had been telling people invest, and they invested money, they bought bonds, they put their money in investment houses. But when it was time that they wanted their money, the government had defaulted and people couldn't get their investments out. They couldn't get their money out of the investments. So now people are thinking, what other investments can we do? Maybe we have some excess cash or we are still earning some income. We are fortunate. Where do we put our money? We can't just keep it under the pillow. Someone come and steal from us. So people are thinking about entrepreneurship, or maybe this is even from a point of they need extra income because inflation is through the roof, rising cost of living. So we want to help people who are thinking about entrepreneurship as an alternative, people who are thinking about investing in Ghanaian businesses as another way of making money. At least you hear how these journeys are going for these startups, people who've been doing this for a while. We are not talking to people so far we've not spoken to anyone who's been doing this for 20 years. These conversations are relatable to people who will be starting soon or are starting now. You can see how people are in the trenches, the kind of things that they are thinking about. It's going to help you as you process how to follow this path. Or if you want to invest in somebody, a friend's business, either lend them money because they are going to do business or they want you to partner with them. Understanding these experiences can help you make a better decision. And even after making the decision, how to manage the process. So if anyone missed the conversation from the top or the previous conversations, one with Edward Akani of Bethnal Finance, Kweku, the field entrepreneur who's started and field two tech ventures, just go on our podcast, go on our YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts, go on YouTube, search for Mande Convos, go listen to them. Follow us here on Twitter or X, as it's now called. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And do tell other people about it. And while you're at it, when you're on Instagram, follow at investment_friend. Investment friend takes these conversations that we have a step further. They bring it closer to you. They make it more tailored to your unique one, your unique financial situation, where we don't just give the generic investment advice, but we engage in campaigns, challenges, exercises that will make you think about your personal situation and start working actively towards it. Back to the conversation we're having. Back to the conversation we're having with Jay. And please don't forget to follow Jay. You can just tap on his icon up here on stage and follow him. Also, there's a link to the Mande app. Go join the wait list. The spots would be opened. Jay, you said it's weekly, right?
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, people are added on to test the beta version. So please get on it. The revolutionary thing. See, I mean, an Ivy League MBA, the stuff that you are saying are not stuff I've heard. I have worked in the top consulting firm. What you are saying, you are doing, I'm really impressed. I'm sold. So everyone, please go on this. The kind of work that we have to put our resumes through to get to this level, Mande would make it way easier for you. There's a lot of competition you are going up against. You want this kind of support. And it can increase your income 10, 20 times. I kid you not. It happens. Okay. All right, Jay. So as we wrap up, right? Two questions I have. First one is, what do you think has set you apart from your peers that has made you get to where you've gotten to in your ventures?
I would say my curiosity and my personality. I would say those two things. Like I'm naturally personable and I'm highly curious, like very curious in terms of it's something that I built. Again, the first company that I worked with, the values were curiosity. And so you are more like pushed to find solutions on your own, right? Before you ask. And that has been me, right? Sometimes it's very interesting that there are some things that you think you know, and they can be very basic things as basic as you're scrolling a timeline and you come across some piece of information. It literally takes 10 seconds to just want to Google. So that's willingness to say, hey, I want to Google this. And it does not just end at curiosity though, because like the curiosity leads to learning, and that learning leads to that self-improvement. So it's more like always ahead of the curve, right? And for me personally, that's what has helped me, transitioning through being a pharmacist, through being a career coach and a recruiter, and now being a product manager as well. So curiosity, I would say, is what sets me apart. And then the second bit is my personality. So I'm able to build relationships with people easily. And I think that's a God-given talent. Because when I was young, my dad used to call me assemblyman, because he says that anywhere I go, whether it's church or in the hood or like at a family gathering, whatever, like I'll be the one to be initiating conversations with people. Although like growing up, I've seen that that's changing, but at least if you get into my circle, like I treat you with priority, basically. So I think these are the core things that have kept me going. I mean, the core non-supernatural things that have kept me going. The supernatural things are like, having God at the center of things and all of that. But then the non-supernatural things, like attributes about me, are these things, the curiosity and then the personality that I have.
That's good to know. Curiosity and your personality, being friendly to people, being open to hear about people, engage with them. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And the final one.
I mean, that's why That I was just
Sure,
saying
go
that
ahead.
that's why when Daniel mentioned that, hey, this is, I didn't say no. I was like, let's do this.
Oh yeah,
You
oh
get it?
yeah,
Yeah. So for
yeah.
me, it's like when you're in my circle, I make sure that, hey, I go hard for you because you would most likely do same.
That's nice. That's nice. Shout out to Danielle. Danielle has been a good supporter of Money Convos for years. Lately, she's not been able
Amazing.
to be joining us. And actually, I hear the reason why Danielle is not able to join us. 20-30% of it is because she's doing work for Career Wheel. So, I know, but it still benefited us. So, yeah, so it still benefited us. So, I know, but.
It is so.
All right. Jay, it's been great talking to you, man. It's been a good conversation. I hope a lot of people would learn something from this. Some people would be motivated on this fine Sunday night as we think through our plans for the week, the coming week, thinking about how we'll be productive, thinking about how we'll have our career. Back in the day when I was managing my career back in Ghana, I used to keep a Google Keep notes. Every day I write everything I do, everyone I interacted with. Hopefully in some weeks to come, Mande will be there. You may not have to do such a tedious process. In some months to come, the AI will even generate the bullet for you, so I hope, yeah, Charlie, I hope people keep this, in mind, top of mind as they think about their careers and want to be productive. So yeah, thank you once again, Jay, for this conversation.
That's good.
And thank you all our audience. I know Sunday nights, I think you're trying to decompress to get ready for the dreadful Monday morning. But I appreciate you all spending your time joining us here live. We hope you come back here same time next week, 8 p.m. GMT. We'll have next week's conversation. We are thinking about having a conversation about the government of Ghana budget and how the debt restructuring is going on. So hopefully that conversation that we can have that topic, or otherwise we'll have a different topic we have in mind. But just tune in. It will be another fruitful discussion next weekend. Remember, follow Jay here. Go to that link. Go join the waitlist for the Mande app. When you get on Instagram, follow @investmentfriend. Follow Money Convos there. On Facebook, follow Money Convos. YouTube, subscribe. Wherever you listen to your podcast, subscribe or follow and start downloading. Don't lose out on this information. In 5 years, we want to make sure that we'll all be in a better place. Thank you all and have a good night. Bye.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for everyone. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.